So we're going to the book of John, John chapter 10. John chapter 10, the voice of God. The voice of God. We mentioned the other time that the gift of prophecy operates in three different categories. We say that the first category of the operation is in Romans chapter 12, where it says that we prophesy according to the level of our faith. And then we say that the second category is in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, where it says that we prophesy according to the level of the church or the doctrine of the church. And then the third said in Ephesians chapter 4, which it says that we prophesy according to the level of the faith of Christ, because Christ is the one that is giving that gift. And I want us today to look at the voice of God, recognizing the voice of God and walking according to the voice of God. That's what I want us to look at today. And I believe that God is going to minister to us in a good way, in a special way. So John chapter 10, this is what Jesus says. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, the man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follows him, for they know his voice. A stranger will not follow, but they will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. This figure of speech Jesus used with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So Jesus again said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I come that they may have life and have it abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. For he who is a hireling, who is a hired hand, for he who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches them and catches them. He flees because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and lay down my life for the sheep, and have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock and one shepherd. For this reason, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life, that I may take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. I have authority to lay it down, and I have authority to take it up. This charge I have received from my Father. I think we can stop it from there. Because as he was talking those things, he was talking them to the Pharisees. And then they began saying that he has a demon. They began saying that he has a demon. So he's referring to the sheep as his own people who are the disciples, the people who are coming after him, the people that he has appointed from the foundations of the world. And he was also he was speaking to the Pharisees from chapter 9, and this is just a continuation. Speaking to the religious leaders, not the Pharisees alone, but all those religious leaders, because they were so sharp at him, they were so hostile to him because of the miracle that he had performed in chapter 9. So he was now addressing them. He's trying to show them something that they already know. It is us that don't know because of the culture that we've grown up in. So they already know, and they were shepherds there. There are people who are shepherds. Christ himself was so much in carpentry, because you know that his father was a carpenter. And we know that some of his disciples were fishermen. And we know that here he's talking about shepherds also. We know that there are other areas of operation in the marketplace. But now in this place, he's talking about the sheep. So they had a pen for the sheep, and every shepherd would come with his sheep and put them in the same pen. So in the morning, when they are leaving for the pasture, one shepherd would stand at the door and whistle or call out, and the sheep would recognize his voice, and his own sheep would follow him. The rest of the sheep that belong to other shepherds would remain until the shepherd comes, makes the sound, either a whistle or a sound, and they will not recognize his voice, and they will come out. And that is what Jesus is trying to show them, that is the same thing, that my voice is recognizable to those who are my own. It says that when he stands at the pen, when he goes out there on a crusade, on an evangelistic mission, he calls out, and his own sheep, who are called from the foundations of the world, they will hear his voice and they will answer. But they will not answer to the hireling. And the hireling here is, in context, is talking about the one who is not the Christ. We can say he's talking about the Antichrist, the hireling, because he's the one who, when he sees things, fire coming, he sees trouble coming, the wolf coming, he runs away and leaves the sheep. But now he's trying to also show us his love. Before you go to the voice of God, he's showing us his love, and he's saying that the Father loves me for this special reason, that because I love the sheep, because I lay down my life for the sheep. In chapter 15, he says that greater love has no man than this, to lay down his life for his friends. And that is, he's giving us one reason that the Father loves him. You know, God loves us for no reason. He loves us for who we are. He loves us for what he has made us to be. But there are several times that Jesus shows us some of those reasons that this love is even increased, even made more manifest. It's because of such things, that things that please the Father. And it goes against the motivational preachings that we have today, because he's saying that the shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He lays down his life for the sheep. And you find that the shepherd comes through the door. You find that the shepherd gives out his voice. But the one who is not the shepherd will not come through the door, because he knows that when he comes through the door, he will call out and the sheep will not answer. None of the sheep will come. So he will come through other means and snatch the sheep. And when you talk about the door is Christ, the personality of Christ. He says that I am the door. He says that I am the door. No one comes to the Father except through me. You see, it says that no one comes to the Father except through me. So he's talking about the door being a personality. Like right now in this church, the door is the apostle. Anyone that comes through to this church or to any member of the church must come through the door. The door is the apostle. When you come to a home, a family, the door is the man of the house, the husband. Anyone that comes into that house must come through the door, is the authority. When you come to the nation, the door of the nation is the president. Anything that comes should come through the president. And he's the one who appoints the customs agents and all these agents all over the country, within the borders, in the airports, in the seaports, and everywhere. Because they have to come through the right door, the right means. But he's telling us that the one who is the hireling, the one who is not the shepherd, he'll come through other means. He'll come and woo the kids, woo the wife, woo the cousins, woo the house help, because they don't want to come through the door, which is the man of the house. And that is something he's trying to caution us, that this one that is coming has a voice that you will not recognize. He'll come with a voice that you will not know. He'll come with a voice that is not like mine. And that voice is going to confuse. As you're going to the same text, let me just give an example of when I got born again just yesterday. I was just writing down some of those things. When I got saved, it was like God spoke to me when I was in high school, and He spoke to me, and I didn't know the voice of God. I didn't know the voice of God, but I knew that God was speaking to me, and I said, I promised God silently in my heart that after high school I'm going to get saved. But I didn't know how. I delayed because it was like, let me enjoy a little bit first. But this thing of enjoying a little bit, it became like I was playing. I think that I'm still young. I think that I should also enjoy the way people are enjoying. But no, I just hear that this voice is speaking to me like, you need to get your life straightened. And so there is that presence of God that came into the house that day. And I woke up in the night. It was in the night. I woke up and looked at my two brothers and my uncle. They were all asleep. But there was a presence. There was a movement in the house. And the pictures that are put on the walls, all those pictures fell. And at first I convinced myself that maybe these pictures fell because my brother, the one who was born again then, had pulled them down because he doesn't like the Bob Marley pictures. I tried to convince myself that, but there is something that I did not convince myself, was that there is a presence here. And this presence is in the house. And I don't know the presence of God because I'm not born again. There is a movement in the house and everybody is sleeping. And this presence is like speaking to my heart, telling me that you need to get your life in order because judgment is coming in your life. It's like you're going to die and you're going to go to hell. And it was like this presence is so loving and is warning me about judgment, warning me about my life. And I feared and I covered myself. But it was not like I rebelled. It's just that kind of a fear that I've never seen this. The only supernatural thing that we had seen in those days were horror movies. I think there were witches then. There were people who were doing witchcraft, but we had never witnessed them. We could only hear those cats screaming in the night, and those people who were walking on the rooftops. But I'd never had those experiences which is supernatural. So after that, I was opened up into the spirit realm. And I could see, sometimes I could just see those things. I could just see where I'm going. I know that I'm not going to heaven. Sometimes I could just see those things. And it was like God opened me up that I had no excuse. I had no excuse. From that point, something else started happening. Towards now, that was 99, around before August. Because in August, that's when I fought with my bro and he kicked me out of the house. So between August and December, there was a battle in my heart. And there was this thing that was trying to fight me. And it was speaking to me. It was like telling me that you're going to die. You're not going to get saved. You're not going to see the new millennium. We're calling it the millennium. You're not going to see the millennium. And there's a voice that I could recognize that it's a voice that is audible, but I could hear it. But from August, after fighting with my bro, I was not using those drugs and anything. So I knew that this is not hallucination. This is something that is real. And so that voice was like, "You're going to die." And especially when I started going to church. I went to church the first day. It was like this thing was so mighty. I don't know how mighty it was that it confused the church. And I said that my name is Divish and I want to get saved. No, I didn't say I want to get saved. I want to close the millennium with Jesus. And people were shangilia. They all erupted, and it's like, I have been born again. Nobody helped me. Nobody called me. So I went home and asked myself, what really happened? And that voice was telling me, you're not going to see the new millennium. You're not going to get saved. And it was disturbing me, and I feared telling people, because they would obviously say that this is Zile Bambizaki. For those who knew that I was smoking and using those drugs. So I could see that this thing is so real to me. But I could remember the original presence of God in their house. I could still remember it. But this one was disturbing me. And it was like, you're going to die. And I got sick. Towards that December, I think the second week of December, I got sick. Went to hospital. I would be going to hospital. They would be checking me. They would find nothing. Checking me. They find nothing. So they just give me drugs, and I knew that this is something that is supernatural. The devil would be speaking to me. The voice became so audible towards the end of December, and I knew that now I have to go and surrender to Jesus. And I went and surrendered to Jesus, and I felt like that weight on my shoulder had just been pulled down. It just fell off, and that thing disappeared. And every time I am like, kind of like backsliding, because they told me three things when I gave my life to Christ. They told me three things you have to do. Number one, you have to pray every day. Number two, you have to hear from God, from His Word. You have to study the Word every day. And number three, you have to testify. And they just gave it to me in a nutshell, but I caught it. So every time I'm like backsliding in praying the Word, in fellowship, I would experience that thing. I would experience that voice, not even just a voice. It was like an attack. Sometimes like an attack, you get an accident, you get threats to your life. When I got married, I got threats to my life. When every time in any level of my life, there was like something just wants to take your life out. And it has just been like that. And it's like, if you just go down a little bit, you're going to go. I'm giving that in context to what I'm saying. Right now, let me just leave that aside. Right now, that voice of God helped me every time. It helped me every time, because sometimes you find that there are situations that you're going to get into, and you need that specific voice of God to guide you. And it would help me. Not because I asked for it. I would say that yes, we ask all the time. And not because we prayed so much. And if you pray so much, you're going to obviously experience the presence of God and the voice of God. But what I'm saying is this, that God loves us so much that He comes ahead of us. He loves us so much that He comes ahead even of our prayers. And so, this voice of God is a voice that will always come and help you. Right now, as I was coming, I think I gave this testimony the other time I was here, that as we were traveling in the mud, the driver was sleeping. I'm seated there and I'm like, I see this vehicle getting an accident in the spirit realm. And then when I turned to look at the driver, I realized that he's sleeping. He's driving while he's dozing. Where? So he started engaging him. Why are you sleeping? Just giving him stories so that he can stay awake. And so, as I was doing that, we kept on talking until now. I knew that God would speak. You know that the attack of the enemy is coming, but God would speak to give you guidance. So today it also happened again. So as we were traveling again, I just see it in the spirit. It's like somebody's just been knocked by a car, and they're like dead. Few minutes later, something like, let me say like 5 minutes later, somebody just gets knocked down by a car, and they fell off, and it's like I just hope that that guy is going to survive. But he was knocked very hard, very bad. And I remembered just 2 minutes ago, God has spoken to me about this thing. And I just prayed in my hand and said, God, help that soul. What I want to say is this, that everyone has their view of God. And we said this in Matthew chapter 11, that Jesus says that no one knows the Father except the Son, and the one whom the Son reveals chooses to reveal him to. So the experience of God, the level of your experience of God is going to determine how you're worshiping God. The level of how you experience God. And that is why when we come to church on Sunday, I always want to come early because I want to pray. I want to sink myself in the presence of God so that I can have an experience of Christ in a way. In a way that is going to transform me and give me a view of God. So Jesus said that no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and whomever the Son reveals him to. So we need to be coming and knowing and experiencing Christ. That should be our goal. That should be something that we're looking forward to every Sunday morning. And that is why Jesus is saying here that there is one who is the Christ, who is speaking, who is the shepherd, who is talking, who is leading and guiding. But there is also another one who is not. There is this other one who is not the Christ. He's not the shepherd. And he's speaking and he's giving false guidance. But he does not come through the door. He does not come through the right way. And the sheep of Christ know the voice of Christ. He says that my sheep hear my voice. He says that the sheep hear his voice and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. He calls them by name. God calls you by name. He calls you by name. And you will know that it is God that is calling you. Hallelujah. You know that it is God that